All right. Hello, everybody. Hello. Welcome. Oh my gosh, y'all. It's another week. Why do I look like such a little talking head? I got to figure out how to get my seat a little higher, y'all, because I'm always like at here and need to be up here. It is so good to be back live with y'all for this week's shot of vitamin K. Of course, I close the door and my dog opens the door. So we're going to close the door back, y'all. Okay. I am so glad to be with y'all today in the house. Watch the door open back again, y'all. This is like the hilarious game with me and my dog every day. If this is the first time that we are connecting, my name is Kishshana Palmer, and I am a leadership and management expert. I am a Clifton Strengths coach, so I help y'all get y'all strengths together. And I am the CEO of Kishshana & Co., which is a leadership development learning company where we work with amazing CEOs who are leading organizations, institutions, and companies to do amazing things in the world. And we help you do that by living well and leading well. Entering the scene is my mascot and dog, Chanel, who cannot help herself and opens the door every single time that I'm on live. Doesn't matter what I'm doing. So I'm going to try and close the door again, y'all. So welcome to my home office. And listen, y'all, I came on a couple of minutes late because, friends, I live here in New York City. And although I work from my home office, it has not escaped me that today New York City is literally on 1,000 because there is a shooter at large running rampant in our city who let off gunshots on the train and injured 16 people, 5 critically. And so my daughter just texted me like, did you see what happened in the city? And so I'm keeping a close eye on things as I have lots of family and friends who commute into the city every day. But it's live. We talk about getting back outside. Getting back outside is having an entirely new meaning for all of us. Don't y'all think? Drop it in the chat. So let me know where y'all are coming in from. I was going to go live on my Instagram today, but I cannot find my headphones. I always think I'm like super prepared, y'all, because I'm a pretty like routinized person. How many of us are like real creatures of habit? We do the same things all the time, day in and day out, and kind of live by our routine. And I consider myself to be a pretty routinized person. I can depend on it. It allows me to have some creativity in other parts of my life. But y'all, of late, I have just been kind of missing it a little bit, little all over the place, which brings me to the topic that we're going to be talking about today. Hey, come on, Hyla from Michigan. Let me know when y'all are watching this on the replay, because I know a lot of y'all watch this in the evening time, or y'all watch this on your morning in before you get your meeting started. Just hit replay in the chat, but let me know where you're watching me from and jump into the conversation, because today, the conversation that we are going to be talking about is something that really has affected not just me, but so many of the leaders that I have the good fortune of coaching. When we think about leadership, we think about like who's in the front. How many of us were class presidents? That's a good shout out. How many class presidents do I have in the house? So I was 8th grade class president. I was on senior council in high school. I ran my own clubs. I was president of the Black Student Union in college. I was president of my sorority in college. I'm always trying to be president of something, okay? And so when you think about, most people think about leadership, they think about it from a positional standpoint. When we think about the folks who win, sometimes they're the most popular, sometimes they're the most outspoken, sometimes they're the most prepared, sometimes it's a combination of things. Every now and again, it's real political, had nothing to do with none of that. But when you think about like what we think about leaders, they're typically folks who have a positional or a power of personality, a presence that stands in the front. But that's not the only kind of leaders that work and work well. You have folks who are quiet, but they are steady and lethal in that water. They just move stealth mode. Oh, I see you. Okay. And AFP president in Detroit. Go ahead, Melissa. Listen, a lot of us who are in that seat are used to being in that seat in one way, shape, or form, but leadership looks like different things for different people. But something that I have been seeing a lot more of, and forgive me, y'all, I'm into this spring allergy season cold situation. And for those of us who developed allergies and chest things and all type of sinus stuff as adults, if we didn't have it as a kid, isn't it miserable? Ugh. That's an aside. So for those of us who have been in the leadership seat, whether you got voluntold or recommended, or you just ran on your own, now you might have been in that kind of role long enough where you might be wound a little bit tight. Yikes. Anybody ever told you that? Like, you know, your friends try to lay it to you soft, except if you have those friends who are cold-blooded and they're like, I'm just going to tell it to you, tell it like it is. You're wound tight. But for a lot of us, we are dealing with a lot. And so over time, all of that stuff starts to crunch, grind, twist, wind. And then we find ourselves wound really, really tightly in the roles that we have found ourselves in, or for some of us that we have chosen to be in. And so y'all know I love a good movie. And so I was trying to figure out what movie would really illustrate what happens when you, by choice or by being forced, by necessity, end up being the kind of person who's just wound too tight. If you ever found yourself saying, I got to do it myself, you know what? That's why I do things myself. That was me last night, y'all. Okay. So I'm talking to myself as I'm talking to y'all. So everything that I teach and everything that I coach my clients on, and every stage I'm on where I'm sharing a story about how to live well and lead well, it doesn't just come from the research, but it also comes from lived experience and from my listening ear. Just because I'm chatty don't mean I'm not paying attention. Okay, y'all? So the movie that stuck out to me this time to be able to talk about was Deliver Us From Eva. Okay, y'all. Y'all know I love a good movie. So if you haven't seen Deliver Us From Eva, let me just break down a real quick synopsis for you. So Evangeline, Eva for short, played by Gabrielle Union. This movie came out, I think, like in 2003. She worked for the LA Health Department as an inspector. She was described as being super bossy, and she had a perfectionist nature. Everything had to be just so. How many of us are just so people? Y'all see my books are just so. My florals. Make sure my finger. My florals are just so. The way I tidy is just so. Perfectionists also struggle with procrastination, but that's a different live. We're gonna do a different live, and I'm gonna bring on somebody who's real good at digging into that. So she and her sisters, she had 3 other sisters, have been taking care of each other since they were little, and their mom passed away. They were known as the Dandridge sisters. And so as a result of her being the oldest and also the most responsible, because she was oldest by virtue of birth order, was always in charge. So she's the one who always had to be the most serious. She had to, have a lot of responsibility. She had to make sure her siblings were in line, if you will, they finished their education, that the money was managed. So she had to grow up really fast. And a lot of times, those of us who end up being in positions where we end up getting wound a little tight, grow up really fast. Like we are put in positions, whether we command them, demand them, sneak into them, slide into them, get pushed into them, where we have to assume a lot on our shoulders. And we've been doing it for so long that it feels like it's the thing we know how to do the best. Like you're like, that's who I am. So what you do then becomes who you are. So in this movie, we see Eva, who is she's like a focused work person. She's dedicated to her job. Someone even said workaholic. She's real commanding and demanding as it relates to the way in which she imagines her sisters' lives could go. And the men that her sisters are partnered with are drove. Okay. They don't want anything to do with this chick. They're like, she is too much. They concoct a plan to find somebody who will date her, to take her off their hands because they want access to the inheritance that all these sisters have that their mother left behind. Y'all. So that's the plot of the story. Okay, so let's dig into who Eva is. So Eva reminds me of a lot of women I know, women who are really, really driven, who are focused, who have decided that they are going to find a way or make one, who need order in their lives to make sense of a lot of the chaos that has happened around them, who have had to really zero in and kind of get really focused in order to be able to get the job done. And that approach is not the only approach, y'all, often gets rewarded. And so you do it over and over and over again. And it goes from your work life into your personal life. So I don't know about y'all, but I have been in a relationship or two where the gentleman that I was seeing at the time said some version to me of, you know, I'm not your employees, right? And I took offense to that, y'all. I said, well, if you feel like you're an employee, what are you doing to behave like one? Look, y'all, that there's no humility there. That was terrible. I'll tell you, I'm learning. And if you've been following my personal journey, y'all know I'm on a whole dating detox so that I can empty the dating pool that was full of pee in it and put new water in. Okay, so and that starts with the water with me. Okay, I got to put new water in. So imagine y'all being in a love relationship where the person that you are seeing describes that feels like they work for you. That's not quite right. You got to do everything yourself. Why do you have to line up the shoes that way? Why do the paper clips have to be that way in the cup? Why do you only use this document? Why do we only have to do this in this order? If you've had people around you who are asking you, why does it only ever have to be? You might have been on or are currently on a pathway of being wound too tight. And so in the movie, we see Ava really start to, first she approaches Ray, played by my favorite LL Cool J, with skepticism and doubt. He doesn't come wrapped in the package that she would imagine she'd want for herself. But as she gets to know him and as he continues to pursue her, she starts to realize that he's allowing her and giving her space to unwind. So you start to see her decompress and you start to see her not be wound so tight. You start to see her let go of her perception and up to that point, her reality of what she had to be in charge of in order to be able to get stuff done. Now, in our roles as leaders and as people managers, oftentimes we feel like we've got to take on all the things, right? We're so used to being the ones who have to stay up late. You know what? If I don't get it done, who's going to get it done? If you ever said that to yourself, or I like things a certain way, or I have to go behind my team's work because I'm not sure that they did it right. Hello, that's a trust issue. We're going to talk about that. So if you find yourself in that position more times than you care to count, then friends, you might be in a situation where you are needing to unwind a little bit and you're wound too tight. Okay. Yes. Okay. I see folks in the chat on Facebook. I got you on Facebook now too. So think about how you show up at work and think about how you show up in your personal love relationships. And now y'all hear me. If you've been watching my lives, and if not, go back and look at some of the lives. I talk about relationships at work all the time. You're in several relationships right now with the people you work with. So that's your teammates if you're managing people. That's your peers on your leadership team. That's your CEO. If you are the CEO, that's everybody from your contractors to your W-2s and your mama and everybody in between. So we are actively in relationships, and oftentimes we are in roles in those relationships that we have felt pretty locked into for a long time. Often starting with something that was situational. I had to do it. There was nobody else to do it. I was the first one to do it. I needed to make space to do it. I had to learn how to do it, whatever your thing is. And then you do that enough time and it just becomes a part of who you are. And so we see Eva and Ray start to get into a different dance. They start to get into a personal dance, right? Where they are experiencing a little bit of a romance. And Eva, who is used to being the one to give the shots, my way or the highway, okay, they have people running for the hills, now is starting to have a much more relaxed approach. She's starting to let her guard down. She's starting to give people space in order to be able to do their best and be their best. And so what does that mean for you as a leader? If you find, and y'all, I've been in this position, and I mean, at least once a week, I have to talk myself off, somebody has to talk me off, somebody has to talk to me about releasing control. So it's a behavior that is so deeply ingrained that I'm hugging it like my teddy that I don't want to let go, y'all. I don't want to let it go. Control, that is. My trust issues, that is. My need to be right, that is. My way or the highway. I'm the only one who knows how to do this thing. I've been doing it better than anybody else. Ooh. I see some comments coming in. Y'all see what I'm talking about? It's the stuff that I'm talking about with y'all. So that means that when you start to feel yourself relax, or in order to get to a place where you can start to release that grip, you have got to have folks who you trust. So oftentimes we hire for the skill or actually not even for the skill, y'all. Let me step back. Oftentimes we hire for the task at hand. So in this particular example, I'm talking to my business owners who are moving from solopreneurs to either building an agency or building a boutique shop like I have, or building a company, whichever your business model is. And so from I do everything from clean the toilets, answer the doors, answer the emails, do the RFPs, do the work, do the training, send the thank you notes, send the feedback. From doing all of that, where whether it's right or wrong, you get it done in the way you get it done, to then having to release control of the how to someone else, that's where the fight with yourself comes in. That's when you have to have conversations with yourself. And so if you find yourself knowing that you need to let go, but feeling almost impossible to let go, I want you to pressure test. One, do you trust yourself in your decision-making of the folks you have hired around you to support you and to work alongside you? Notice I didn't say work for you. And if y'all listen to my language as I talk in my videos, my lives, my posts, look at how I write. I don't really talk to people who work for me, because it's not about working for me, alongside me, with me, in service of. These are intentional choices to release control, because y'all, I got trust issues, and trust and control go hand in hand. Okay. I need to get somebody on here to talk with us about trust and control who's way more versed than me, because I want to dig into that. So if you know an expert who can talk about release and talk about trust and control, and you think we would vibe together, just drop it in the chat for me and let me know, y'all, so I can reach out to them. Or if it's you, just say it me, so I can schedule some time for you to be here with me on a shot of vitamin K. Okay. So when you are thinking about the fact that you have everything on your plate, I want you to know that that is a key health indicator for you as a leader. So I really want y'all to dig into that. So what are your we talk about KPIs, key performance indicators, but in this example, what are your key health indicators as a leader? How do you know that you're operating from a place of health, or you on the junk food closet of leadership? So what does the junk food closet look like? What does our junk food pantry look like as leaders? For me, I think that tends to look like the sticky note pileup. It looks like a car pileup, but it's with the sticky notes. You have so many ideas. You have them on your sticky notes. You have them in your notepads. You have them here and there, hither and yon, to and fro. And you are giving your team scattershot pieces of ideas, but you haven't had the opportunity, because you don't have the time really, or you're not able to make the space to really flesh things out. So you work later, or you get up earlier, or you break the newfound routine or ritual that you just created for yourself to give yourself more time, because you're like, well, who else is going to do it? Well, if I just do it this one more time, well, if I just fix it this one time. So what are your key health indicators? If your physical health and your mental health and your psychological health, y'all, and all of it, spiritual, are a part of your health indicators. And for those of y'all who are like, Kishshana, I've never thought about my key health indicator as a leader ever. Let's start from today. What are the things that you would say would mark for you as a leader as an indication of good health for you in your role? For me, it's making sure that I have agendas for my team meetings, and that I am not the owner of the agenda, and that my team members are drivers of the work that we're doing. For me, a key health indicator is if we're using new technology, new software, we're moving in a new direction around how the company operates, that I am comfortable and confident enough in what we're working on, in the tool or set of tools itself, so that I can participate in conversations, but I don't have to be the one dropping the keys and doing the work. A key health indicator for me is if you look at my calendar and there's space in my calendar for walks, that I've taken time to do my vocal warm-ups every morning. Yes, y'all, I do vocal warm-ups just about every single day, because I talk for about 12 to 14 hours every single day. Okay. And on the weekends, I'm in mommy mode. So y'all know what kind of talking I'm doing. So am I making space for those things? Am I making space for myself for exercise? And what's been really, really critical for me, y'all, in the last 4 months is brand new, y'all. Since I had to take a sick leave earlier at the beginning of the year for surgery, and since I've come back, it's my sleep. I mean, it is like a family joke, y'all, about how little sleep that I've gotten over the last, 28 years. For as long as I can remember, my mom was like, do you sleep? You don't sleep. Like, it's a big joke that Kishshana does not sleep. But y'all, I don't even have on makeup right now except for this gloss on the video screen, and I'm on a high def camera. You know why? Sleep. And drinking water and minding my business, taking my multivitamins. I just want y'all to know, okay, things are working over here. Good skincare will save you. But it is a key health indicator for me as a leader if I'm able to make sure that I am sleeping. So your key, and that's only a few, y'all. So your key health indicators look different for you than they might look for me. But what we saw in the movie, Ava wasn't even aware that for her, a key health indicator was a healthy love relationship. Y'all, some of us are in denial that we need to be in loving relationships with our partners. And we deny ourselves the opportunity to be able to enjoy and engage in healthy relationships because we think all we have to do is work. Sorry, y'all. See, the doggy's at it again. It's a good thing I have on matching clothes on the bottom and the top, y'all. So some of us are in denial that we need to have that connection, that we need to be able to have those conversations. And it may not be a more love, it may not be eros type of love, but you might need to have that platonic love from good girlfriends, good connections, colleagues. So if you look at your work schedule and you realize I haven't had a connective conversation that wasn't about work in I don't know how long, then a key health indicator for you is that you've got to get on the horn and just chat with some folks about life. Like, I love it when I get on with my business colleagues and they realize that I done got my hair done again. And I talk about the fact that I made my child learn a skill in this pandemic. So now she knows how to do my hair. And it always looks so good, doesn't it, y'all? Even if you don't think it looks good, just say yes anyway, because I think it does. Or that we get to talk about what movies we're watching, what shows, what books. This morning I had a whole conversation with one of my girlfriends, and she's one of the few people who is really philosophical, that let's like to talk about like the esoteric, the big things that are happening in life. And gosh, y'all, I don't get the opportunity to do that very often. And so when I talk with her, I just know that those conversations are going to fill my mind. They're going to give me big ideas. They're going to have me think about things other than we're just about life in the world. So what are the key performance indicators key health indicators that you need as a leader in order to be able to release the pressure that you are feeling from the weight of the work that you're doing? And I know particularly if you are a service-based business owner, and I think it's probably similar for product-based business owners now, because now we're feeling the pressure of fulfillment and distribution, and our distribution channels are being really squeezed, and they have been for the last 3 years. So this is a hell of a time to have a product-based business. But whether you are an entrepreneur like me, starting your own company, building your own company, or you are an entrepreneur within an organization, building or creating on an innovation, or you're just here to get your 9-to-5 paycheck, because y'all, we try to poo-poo that, but there's glory in that as well. The opportunity to be able to assess what is happening with me. How am I able to navigate from a healthy place? How do I know when things are off? What happens in my environment that will indicate that things are not quite right? How do I shift that once I recognize what that is? All of that are a part of how you build out your health dashboard, if you will, as a leader. And so when you realize that you're doing everything yourself, because I'm wrapping up here, y'all, I want you to think about the fact about how you delegate work. Do you delegate work in desperation? Do you only let go and people can pry it out of your cold, dead hands when you are desperate, when you've tried everything else? Do you have a plan for how you delegate? Do you have a plan to check in when you delegate? Do you have a clear enough sense of what success looks like and what the outcomes are going to be so that you can delegate effectively? that people, when you pass the baton, y'all think about, my daughter runs a 4x2 and she's the anchor on her 4x2. And so when I watch them in practice, they have to really be like clear, not just what they're running in their leg of the race, but also that they have a good grip on the handoff, right? Because that's a really critical component. And so do you have a good grip on the handoff? Does your team member understand how to grab that baton and keep running with it? Have you exercised that? Have you created a system for that? Do you need help creating a system for that? Where are you in your own awareness journey of what you need to be able to release the I'll just do it myself? Because otherwise, it creeps into your body and it attacks you. Okay? So what we saw in the movie was when Ava discovered that she had been set up, hoodwinked. Her brother-in-laws had set her up with this gentleman because they wanted to get her out of their sisters, their girlfriends and significant others' hair so they could get access to the inheritance. She lost it. She said, you know what? To heck with this. This is why I always do everything myself. And she went back into her shell, packed up her stuff, moved to a new city, and said, to heck with y'all. Y'all can all have that. How many times have we done that, y'all? Packed up everything and been like, to hell with that. Y'all can have it. I'm not dealing with that. I'm not coming back to this group. I'm not dealing with this conversation. I'm not dealing with those people. I'm not going back to that conference. I'm not participating in this thing. Because in relationship, when we are met with a place where expectations weren't met, people disappoint you, people don't show up the way that you had it in your mind that they would, or even that they committed to, our natural inclination is to just jump back in and do it ourselves. But what Eva had to learn in the movie, and what many of us have to learn in our work as leaders, because remember, your leadership life at work and your leadership life at home, they get this little blend here, this little blend, it's a little immersion blender that we have to use on whether we like it or not. What she had to learn was that navigating those hard conversations, navigating those shifting relationships, navigating and facing and moving through how people perceive her and how she's shown up for folks was actually one of the things that allowed her to release that responsibility, to release that control. And so I want y'all to listen to how your team members are reacting, responding, engaging, interacting with you. I want you to watch who's retreating and who's leaning into you. I want you to listen keenly to the conversation and the tone and the intonation and the inference that's embedded in the conversation with your team members when they go, I mean, I guess if you're going to do it, then, I mean, if that's what you want, I mean, if that's how you like it, lean in and listen in, because that's an opportunity to pressure test. Am I in an I'll do it myself moment? Am I taking on too much? Am I doing enough? If you find your back seizing up and you're leaning over, you're cramped, you're tired, your stomach hurts, you're eating crappy, there's an opportunity there for y'all to take a minute and go, let me look at my key health indicators as a leader and figure out where I need to release, readjust, realign so that I can be in a healthier place. I promise y'all, if you do that, if you start doing that, you will start to feel a difference in your leadership style. It is time for us, and now y'all, particularly as the landscape professionally in the workplace, regardless of the sector you're in who's watching this, the landscape is changing. Not just about it being an employee's market right now, same as like it's a home seller's market right now, but it's an opportunity for us to shift and refine the way that we lead. And so I'm leaving you with that today, because this movie, cute as it was about love and relationships. The work that we do as leaders, y'all, is about love and relationships. Hello. I say this all the time. And I mean it. Okay. I mean it. And so I want to make sure that y'all are equipped to be able to lead and to lead well. And so if you are like watching this and going, dang, Kishshana, I really need some time to be able to just map this out. I'm hearing you, but that's a lot on my shoulders. And it just feels like one more thing. If I'm talking to you right now, I understand you, and I want you to book a VIP day with me, because that will allow you to be able to work with me, someone who understands you, someone who has been where you are, someone who has led big teams, led multifaceted hybrid teams, failed a time or two, won a time or two, was sort of average a couple times too, who has been around the block a few times and has helped leaders just like you to figure out how to get focused, how to get organized, how to put yourself first, and also lead powerfully from that position, how to manage people so that they thrive around you and you're not the manager they talk about. Hello? So if you're like, I know I need to get this done, but what are we going to do? Well, we're going to work together for half a morning. You're going to look up and your stomach's going to be growling and the session's going to be over. But we are going to map your go forward plan. You're going to map a day just for you. Whatever your big challenge is, you and I will work together to navigate that. We'll use Clifton Strengths so I can get inside your head and get inside your heart. We'll use the 5 love languages because that's one of my favorite tools in the world. And I have lots of other tricks in my bag. And we'll go through my Live Well, Lead Well framework for how I'm able to get you focused, get you a plan that you actually can execute against, and help you identify the resources, whether it's tools or people or both, that will allow you to be able to lead from a healthy place. If that sounds like something that you are interested in, then make sure you go to kishco.info/VIP strategy and sign up for one of my strategy days. I am booking for May and June right now and would love to see you in my home office with me so that we can work together. And if you want to work together in person, you can have that opportunity next week. I'll be in Atlanta from the 20th to the 25th. Or you can work with me live in Vegas. I'll be there from the 29th of April through May 6th. And I have a couple of openings where you can work with me one-on-one in person at those times. And that's an opportunity that I want y'all to take advantage of because y'all, we outside. Okay, this has been wonderful, y'all. I thank you so much for hanging out with me today for another shot of vitamin K. I'll be back next week with another great movie for us to dig into and another leadership challenge or myth that we're going to bust through. If y'all have movies that you want me to be talked through, listen, or shows or any of it, please let me know in the comments because y'all know I watch TV every week and I read lots of books. And so I want to be able to bring not just what interests me, but what interests you to the table. Thank y'all so much for connecting with me. It has been a joy hanging out with y'all today, and I will talk to y'all real soon.